talking about testing to let you know to watch for an email coming out from the district about the Service Awards Banquet. The Service Awards Banquet happens in our district every year to recognize years of service to our district, starting with 5 years and then 10 years, 15, 20, and so forth. You're going to be receiving an email link from them. This year, we're doing something different and having you sign up for that banquet online rather than you sign up for it with Ms. James. You've probably already told Ms. James how many years of service you have in the district, and that's all great. But in addition to telling Ms. James, you will be needing to fill out that link and send it in. If you're going to attend the banquet, you are allowed to bring a guest. It's going to ask you in that link to put in there your name, whether or not you're an award recipient, and what your guest name is going to be, is what your guest name is, okay? And then that way they're going to be able to account for how much food to buy, etc. In addition to the years of service, they're going to recognize our Teacher of the Year. Yay, Jimmy, are you? They're also going to recognize any retirees in the district. So if you're expecting to retire, paraprofessionals included, they're going to recognize you at the banquet. So be watching for that email and fill that information in because they need to allow for a certain amount of food. It is going to be at Ruthie Jackson on April 28th, 6 p.m. Thank you.
I just want to tell you real quick about an email that you're going to get tomorrow for our guest speaker. I know Ms. Grant told you guys today that it's going to be Doc Brown, the speaker we had at Convocation. It's going to be for our juniors. However, we have 5 other schools that are going to be joining us. So I've spent a lot of time planning, places to put everybody so we're not all having to cross over. So you're going to get 2 things tomorrow. Junior teachers, well, I've sent to everybody, I've tried to get a count of the juniors so we can have certain seating. We're going to have seating on the floor in the Coliseum. We're going to have almost 1,000 chairs on the floor. We're going to have the pull-out seating that extends up in the upper section, and then the upper seating, just the lower half. So for South, we're going to be on the south side of the Coliseum. We'll have 2 sections on the south side of the Coliseum, kind of where the players sit for pep rallies. We'll be on that side. We'll have that whole pull-out section on the south side. I'm talking about the side closest to the lobby. And then the bottom half of the upper section. The other schools will be on the other side. So I was trying to strategically place them. So you'll get an email. It'll tell you, it'll have your name, how many juniors you have in your class that you're bringing, and where you are seating. It'll say like southwest floor or southeast floor or upper pull-out section. Y'all know what time I want to say the pull-out section? It's that part that extends. The seniors sit there during pep rallies. It's the part that's pushed in, and then it extends out. It doesn't have backs on the seats. They're like bench seating. So there, if you have a majority of juniors in your class, okay, plan to come with them. If you just have like 1 or 2 other students that are not juniors, that's okay. If you have more than just like 1 or 2, make sure you check with me because I don't want kids to get to that certain section. We really need to tell the kids where to sit. It's not like pep rally where they just get to go sit wherever they want. We really need to keep our kids on one side. We've got some kids from Crosswinds, GP, DeBisky, YWLA. We've got a couple other groups coming, but we have the most kids that are going to be there. You'll also get a map, okay? So if southwest floor doesn't tell you anything, you'll have a map so you can see where that is on the floor. So I'll send both of those things out tomorrow. Cameron Keller was helping me with the map, and I had to make some changes, and he wasn't here today to help me with those. He's been really nice to help me do the map. If you have a group, I know we invited because we have 1,000 seats available for our students, and we only have about 775 juniors. That means we've got about 200 spots for other groups. We invited some of our, like NHS, AVID, some of our groups to come, student council officers. We really kind of wanted to do juniors because they'll be our seniors next year. But if you have a group of kids that you would like to come, see me, because we do want to fill up those extra seats that we have. But I can't have teachers that say, oh, well, I just have 10 extra kids in my class. Can I just bring them? Because if you bring them to the seating section that I told you, there won't be space for them. Okay, all those extra kids, I'm going to write passes for those extra kids that are invited, the AVID, the NHS, student council. I'll write passes for them. So if they give you a pass to get out of class third period, make sure you allow them to leave, and those kids will be sitting in the upper section with the ones seats with the backs on the chairs, not the pull-out section. Anybody have any questions about that Friday? He's a great speaker, and we're really lucky to get him. Grand Prairie High had him earlier this year. He was amazing over there. I got to go see that. He was amazing at Convocation. He's a really good speaker. So if you have a group of students that we haven't already discussed and you would like for them to come, email me quickly or come see me quickly so I can try to find a spot for those kiddos to sit. Thank you.
All right, my favorite time of the year. So, the first part, we're just going to do the security and confidentiality part. Most of you know this stuff already, so just know that even if your name is not on the list, we could pull you at any time to do a test if somebody's absent or we just need some help. So it is critical that you go through this training, even though you might not see your name. All right, so make sure this training does not take the place of reading the appropriate manuals. All right, test security. So only people who are trained and certified teachers can give a test, right? I think for the most part, we have everybody who is trained and certified, they will be giving a test. You guys know that items need to be secured and inventoried. You're going to sign your oath today. And obviously you have to give the test with the manual and all the instructions in mind. All right, make sure that unless you are giving an oral administration, you are not viewing that test before, during, or after the administration. That is critical. If you are giving an oral administration, I'm going to have you come by tomorrow. I've already talked to Ms. George, and I'm using the special ed inclusion teachers. If you are giving the oral administration, I'm going to send you an email later today, and I'll just have you come in for a 10 or 15 minute separate meeting or a little mini training for tomorrow. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right. And for English, obviously you cannot keep a copy of the student's composition. The whole seal part really doesn't matter anymore. We used to have the revising and editing section. That is just now incorporated into the whole test booklet. But obviously before you instruct the students to tear off that seal, make sure that they haven't done so beforehand. All right, math charts are for later. We don't have to worry about that. Okay, seating charts. We're going to give you the pre-printed seating charts with student socials on it. One of the most important things is if a student ends up not testing in your classroom for whatever reason, if they're absent, I need you to cross out that social security number and the number in which they were supposed to be sitting at, because those all get scanned to the district, and let's say Sally was on that list and you numbered it for a specific seat and she doesn't show up, well, we have to kind of go back on that for our records. So just be careful about how you do your seating charts, and especially for English 1, if you were handing your bucket off from one person to the next, through 5 periods, you got to make sure that you've communicated who is absent and who is present. So the last person really needs to have a complete understanding of who is in that classroom. You're not just going in there for an hour and just kind of hanging out. You really have to know what the situation is for your classroom. All right. All right. We're giving the EOC for English 1 and English 2. It's a 5-hour test, so make sure that you are aware that it's longer than our algebra, biology, and U.S. history. All right. Usually we have district monitors that come in to see what's going on. Obviously, you know, as long as you're following the manual, following the instructions, you have nothing to worry about. Okay? They come in unannounced, and we'll take a walk through the hallways and see what's going on in classrooms. So obviously active monitoring, things like that. That's really important. All right, oaths we already talked about. It's important that you read the manual completely before you give the test. Please do not go into your test reading the manual for the first time. You are bound to miss something. So mark it up, put sticky notes in it. That's huge. Even if, again, you are not scheduled to be in a test until second period, for whatever reason we pull you out, we got to have you know that manual inside and out. All right. Everyone always asks what happens when the fire alarm goes off. So if it goes off, run, you know, like you normally would. If you can, obviously, if it's not a, excuse me, if there's no immediate danger, just have them put their Scantrons in their test booklets, lock the door, and then leave. But obviously, if your room is on fire, who cares about the test? All right, just get up and go. Same thing for shelter in place. If you end up staying in the classroom, booklet, Scantron inside the test booklet, and then move away from your window into whatever area is away from that classroom door. Obviously, the safety of our students and yourselves is the first priority. All right, we've got hall monitors in there. Hall monitors, you have to be trained as well, because if the teacher needs to use the restroom, you've got to step in and take over for a little while. So you have to be trained as well. All right, breaks. We really don't have to worry about breaks. We've got 900 something students taking a test on Wednesday. I really hope that at least 150 of them are done by third lunch, because we can't fit them all in the cafeteria. And so, on any of those makeup days, if you're giving a makeup test, you'll go through all the way up until third lunch, you'll break, and then you'll return to your test. That's on the makeup days only. All right, we're only going to have that extra lunch period on Monday and Wednesday for our big days. All right. We are going to distribute snacks. We've got bottles of water and goldfish, and we will distribute those. You'll go to your testing classrooms, and then partway into the test, we'll have the hall monitors go ahead and distribute those bottles of water and the goldfish, because it's such a long test. All right. Obviously, please do not provide assistance, view the test without authorization, discuss confidential student information, or discuss any strategies with the student. Even after the test is over, you cannot say, hey, how do you think it went? Or, hey, what about that writing prompt? Or anything like that. It is completely confidential. All right, we've got a lot of students with the same or similar last name. I've seen this in the past, where a teacher has given the wrong student the wrong Scantron or the wrong test booklet. Again, those are going to be pre-printed. The Scantrons will have a pre-coded label. There are, I don't know, 30 of them that have been hand bubbled already. So just before you say, hey, to a student, you bubbled this in when I told you not to, it was most likely us. But if you see a label on there, there shouldn't be any other marks in any of the other areas besides the ones we're going to point out in a little bit. Make sure that you're reminding students using the correct verbiage in the instructions that they need to record their answers in their answer documents. That is part of the directions, and making sure that there are no irregularities. All right, active monitoring. kind of talked about that already. Number 2, pencils. No talking, obviously, cell phones, all that good stuff. All right, please make sure you're not sitting at the computer. You're not on your phone, your iPad. You can sit down. I'm not saying stand up for a full 5 hours, but feel free to pull your chair out a little bit and take a little break, and rest a little bit. But you shouldn't be sitting in the corner behind a desk for 5 hours. Okay. Make sure the students know that you are up and you are watching and you're checking out what they're doing. All right. Hopefully, we will not go beyond the 5 hours. I really, really hope. If we find that students need to be consolidated for whatever reason, we will communicate that to you through the hall monitors, and we'll be checking our numbers as the day goes on to see whether or not we need to move students. And that's really more for the students who are in special ed and have extended time. All right, we'll talk about more about after the test in a little bit. All right, any irregularities, again, that goes against your certificate. I haven't seen any problems where a teacher has gotten their certificate removed or taken away, but it has definitely happened elsewhere. All right, most importantly, if you think you've done something wrong, don't try to fix it. All right, call me, and I think I told you this last time, I've worked for campus coordinators who kind of bark at you whenever you pick up the phone and call. I sure hope that I haven't done that yet to you, and if I have, I apologize. And it almost makes you afraid to call because you wonder whether or not you've really screwed up. But if we don't know it, I mean, in 90% of the time, it is a simple error that can be fixed at the campus level, and if it can't, I can call the district, and even then, the one time that I've had to call, it was an easy transcribing of answers. A teacher gave the student the wrong answer document. It's really, again, you just let me know. Now, no matter how minor or questions about procedures, just call. And that's why I'm here and everybody else is here to help you guys out. Because there's a lot of stuff to know and to remember.
What's your extension we can call you?
I'm not going to tell you that.
It's not going to be
It's
in here.
2554 and it's in your green packet. If there's any sort of issue, 2554, or you can flag down a hall monitor or call Carol, or hopefully I'm not off campus somewhere that day, just hanging out. Yeah, I feel the sniffles coming on Monday. All right.
We need your phone number.
Yeah.
We know she would.
All right, so when a student turns in an answer document, just give a quick rundown. Make sure the student has filled in their answers. If not, you're going to remind them that they need to go back and fill them in. If a student misses a single question, you can't say, I need you to fix number 33 and fill in your answer. If they miss a whole section of multiple choice, that's a different story. Then you can repeat, but you can't specify, I need you to go back and answer a specific question number. Does that make sense? I mean, if you see obvious a mistake where they did all this work and there's a whole section missing, that's when it's appropriate to remind them. Okay? But you can always use that general statement anytime.
If they don't write the essay, if they don't answer the SAQs,
Hit them.
give it back. Yeah, hurt them.
I mean, you just have to say, make sure you've recorded your answer, and that's it, in your answer document.
Yeah.
Before you pick it up and take it from their person, because after you've taken it, it's over. Make sure you look at it right there at their desk. And if there's nothing written in the essay and there's nothing written in the SAQ, please be sure you've recorded your answers. There's nothing there, please be sure you've recorded your answers, because those scores are so pertinent to all of us subsisting as teachers at South Prairie High School.
And graduation.
Yes, and graduation.
Glad I just closed
Me
that.
not having to have. Right.
writing again, she don't think right. Yes, that is correct.
Write it down.
Write it down.
All right. So they ask you a question that you cannot answer if it's about content or anything besides the directions. You can say, I can't answer that for you, just do the best you can. Yeah. It's going to be a bad time to get sick. All right. You can use highlighters. Hey, this is just stuff that you can find right in your manual. Okay, only students are allowed to erase stray marks. So you've got these thick test booklets, and the kids fold them, right? So that their answers sometimes transfer onto their multiple choice. You can't fix it. You can't erase it as much as you want to. Yeah, I don't believe there. Well, I take that back. I think there is a statement somewhere that says something about stray marks that you can say to the class, but I'm gonna have to double check. I can't remember. What's that? Yes, time. We'll get to that in a second. No, it's okay. All right. Cell phones. Just like last time, you're going to sign their oath, collect their phones, put it in the plastic bag. If you find that a student has a cell phone on his or her person, you need to call me immediately. We need to take the phone and determine whether or not that student was using it to cheat or not. All right. Okay, we got to be careful when we read this statement. Breaks are included in the 4-hour time limit. So, if we absolutely need to break, especially for those makeup days, obviously the clock stops. But for kids who are going to eat their snacks and stuff, the time doesn't stop. If the student has to go to the restroom, time does not stop. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah. All right. All right, that's it. Perfect. All right, let's go to the actual test day and the test week. Leah, she's the one who came up with this part, so don't yell at me anymore, okay? Actually, I'll go over that retest overview, or the test, that should say test overview. So Monday we got English 1, we've got all 3 regular lunches, plus our 4th lunch. If students finish early on that English 1 day, did they finish early? Are you going to send them back to class on English 1? Yeah. Yeah, we'll send them back to class. I hope that we don't have to have that 4th lunch, because that's a beating. All right? Actually, I won't be there, so it really doesn't matter. Okay, so Tuesday's a makeup day. Regular lunches, we'll pause that 5-hour test for them, and they can pick up where they left off. Wednesday's the big day, English 2. We get 900-something students. And then Thursday and Friday are any other miscellaneous makeups. All right?
Okay, so Monday we're doing testing the same way that we did for December retest, where we have one person going in each hour. We're using people from PLCs or our alt team members who have an alt period to help us out. So that should be familiar to you. Teachers, if your name is on there, it is imperative that you show up on time. One of the biggest complaints I got after the December retest was that a teacher would go in and stuff was just kind of strewn about and things weren't in order. When you're collecting materials, when you pass out materials, please keep everything in order. Make sure you have everything in an order where the person coming in after you knows exactly where everything is and knows the system and can get things done efficiently, because it's not fair to the person that's going in for that last hour to have to fix 4 hours worth of someone else's work. It takes way too long to do that, so please make sure you're keeping up with it as you collect answer documents. Make sure you're marking the S score code whenever they come in, whenever they turn in their answer documents to you. Just keep up with that, keep them in alphabetical order, and we shouldn't have any problems. Chris and I spend a lot of time making sure that numerical order on the test booklets and alphabetical order on the test booklets are the exact same. So you cannot screw it up. As long as you put it in alphabetical order, you're fine, okay? So make sure that you're taking care of that as we go along. The library restroom monitors, if you're a restroom monitor
at any point or a hallway monitor at any point. Restroom monitors, please make sure you're only allowing one student at a time in the restroom. Make sure they are handing you the restroom pass before they go into the restroom. First of all, you don't want to touch what they took into the bathroom with them. But second of all, that's how you can account for how many kids are in the restroom. If we have a long line and you need to accommodate for more students at a time, you can stand by the door as long as you're the same gender as the restroom you're standing in, and make sure there's no conversation happening, and let multiple kids in at a time. But you need to make sure that you're standing right there so you don't hear any conversation, and make sure they're in and out and take care of business. Like Mr. Lee said, there's no stopping for the restroom breaks, so that we need to get them through there as quickly as possible. They need every minute they can get for this test. On Tuesday, it's a makeup day, so it functions the same. Every day functions the same except for Wednesday, which is our big day. We've got people coming in every hour. On Wednesday, that's the day you all care about. Almost every single person on this campus is affected in some way on Wednesday. The only people who are not affected are people who have conference periods that are after 5th period. Everyone else in this building, I have paraprofessionals that I'm using as restroom monitors because we have that many people's bodies that we need to help to be involved. So everyone, it is pertinent that you are here. If something major happens and you cannot be here on that test day, on that Wednesday, please let me know as soon as you possibly can. If it's a phone call at 2 in the morning, I'd rather know then than when kids are coming in the building and I'm having to get them into classrooms. Please let us know. The way I have it set up on Wednesday, if you look at Wednesday, the test administrators' names are in bold. There's 2 separate columns. The room in which you are testing is in the middle. And then the reliever's name is next to. So your reliever is there. Relievers, this is when you go in. When you have your conference period, you are going to divide your conference period between yourself and the person you are relieving. Everyone is responsible for one person except for Mr. Danforth. Where are you? You're responsible for all of the inclusion teachers that are giving special ed, so you're going to be doing that all day, so you won't be with your kiddos. But everyone else, you will split your conference time with the person who is testing. Is that understood? Do you guys get that process? So whether you want to take the first half or the second half, it does not matter. But you are expected to show up and give that person you are relieving half of that conference time. That is the only way we can make it work, okay? So that's what's going on for relieving. Restroom monitors, hall monitors, we will rotate on the hour. The people that I'm using are either counselors or you have a PLC during that period. So you will be giving the whole hour for that person, okay? Or for that area. If you don't know where the library restrooms are, please ask somebody before that day so you know which station you're monitoring. Relocations. So after all of that are our relocations. Everyone except for Melissa Olger. Where's Melissa Olger? Is she here? Okay, I'll talk to her. She's got Envirothon things going on. I have worked the schedule so that you only have to transfer your classes to one room. No one else except Melissa Olger is going to do different classes or being relocated to multiple classrooms, okay? So, Mr. Laughlin, on Wednesday, first period you're helping out, but second period, third period, fourth period, fifth period, your classes are going to meet in room B119. So that's how the schedule works, okay? Please, it is so much easier if you, a couple of days before, put a sign on your door telling your kids where they need to go. It's easier for one person to do that than for me to go around the school, especially now. to put signs on everyone's door, okay? So please take care of that for us. That's one easy thing that you can do to help kids out. We are going to make a roster of all of the relocations, and we're going to put them in the big intersections in every hallway on Monday, just to let kids know ahead of time, so they're not walking around in our testing areas and they know exactly where to go. Yes?
Where does my first and second period go on Wednesday?
I'm going to get to that in a second. All right, so whenever you get to the end of the relocations, there are 3 teachers who have been moved to the Kiel Theater. That's Mr. Young, Mr. Pelfrey, and Mr. Beck. Those 3 teachers have a large number of sophomores, and so their kids will be testing. They will bring their remaining kids in here, and they will also be the supervisors of all the extraneous kids. So you have sociology, Miss Del Rey, you have psychology, but you're being moved to a room, so you can still have your kids. But if you're a mainly sophomore teacher and you have a one-off class, and I'm using you for testing, your extraneous kids will come here. So, Mr. Roberson, if you got some juniors in some of your classes, those juniors are going to meet here on that Wednesday because you'll be testing. So please let those kids know ahead of time. If you are giving a test on Wednesday, please let your juniors and seniors or freshmen know that whenever they have your class, you'll obviously be testing, they will meet in here, okay? They don't have a test on that day. Yeah, they don't have anywhere. And they have English, 2 kiddos that are testing, so they're going to use their library for that, so they have nowhere for them to go. So they'll be changing classes here. But I tried to make it to where we would impact instruction as little as possible, considering we have almost 1,000 kids testing on one day, okay? So all of those extra kids will come here. Sociology kids will come here as well. Is there anything that's confusing or any questions that you need answered about relocations, who's testing, who's relieving? Yes?
So typically for my first period, I go to Miss Hawkins' room, which is in the lab.
Mhm.
And I think she's being relocated, but I'm still gonna need a lab that first period. But I'm relocated not in a lab.
All the labs are being used for testing that day. All labs are being used that day.
For the whole week,
Just for that Wednesday.
just Wednesday.
Just Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, all science rooms, M Hall and L Hall are being used that day.
Okay. So I'll still need a different room than the one I have.
Okay, I'll see what I can do. Yes,
Fourth and fifth period,
they come here. Yeah, your juniors and seniors during that period will come here. Any other questions that need to be answered about that? Please look over it. Your name may be in multiple areas, so please make sure that you have found your name. Please scan every single column, every single row. Make sure you know where you're going. If you are a reliever, I know a lot of you have not ever been used before for testing. We don't have that luxury anymore. You are going to relieve by going into a classroom that is a testing room. You must be aware of procedures, so please, that's why you got a testing manual. Make sure that you've read it, you understand what you need to do while you're in that testing room. We cannot afford to have any incidents, okay?
All right, so if you find any errors or there are any changes, email Leah when it comes to a relocation or test assignments or anything like that, all right? So let's go quickly through the daily schedule. We're almost done. Get you out of here as soon as I can. All right, you signed in. Hopefully you've signed your oath. Just drop it in the box on the way out. Go ahead and sign the oral administration oath just in case I end up needing you for an oral administration, and then you're going to complete the training. And I was a nice guy. I filled out some of those fields for you already, so you don't have to ask me again what our district number is. All right, so by Thursday, and this is critical, if we are using your classroom for testing, by Thursday at 4 o'clock, all of your instructional materials, whether it's posters, quotes, signs, student work, they have to be covered or taken down by 4 o'clock. There are over 30 test rooms. we do not want to go in to your classrooms and take stuff off the wall. I don't think you have any idea what kind of work that involves, because first of all, we feel bad that we're ruining your things, but we're not going to take the time to cover it up. We will take it down. So please, by 4 o'clock on Thursday, take the time to remove the things off your walls. I can't stress that enough. All right, your room. What's that?
If there's a poster in the hall, we need to cover that up?
Halls are fine, so you can leave those up.
If it's instructional,
Oh,
it needs to be down.
it needs to be down. I take that back.
Instructional,
So any sort of posters, anything with student work, any of that stuff.
I'm gonna walk
Okay.
around.
Okay. Yes, Thursday, 4 o'clock. All right, room should have 30 desks. We are going to send out a Google Doc to put a request in for additional desks and additional dictionaries. That will come from us tomorrow. Remind me to send that.
Yeah.
All right.
It also has a line for if you need a clock in your classroom. So let me stress this. The only people that are filling out this Google Doc are the 35, 40 people whose room is being used for testing. You know your classroom, you know what's in there. It asks specific questions about how many dictionaries you need in your room, if you need a clock in your room, and how many additional desks you need. Please, please, please fill that out. It takes a lot of work to move all those desks, so we need to know that as soon as possible.
All right. So if you could help me out, the English 1 rosters are ready to go. Those posters will be up on the wall on the landing by lunchtime tomorrow. But if you know that you have students who need to test, please help me. You've got to help me. Do you remember? If you remember back in December, I can't tell you how many classrooms we called, and the students are sitting in your classrooms, and they need to test. I can't tell you, how much time that takes to call those students down just to find out they've been sitting in a class, their first period class, when they should be testing. You've got to help me out. If you see a student on that list that needs to test, especially if you're an English teacher, help them out a little bit. Okay? I will send all of that out tomorrow, but the ID numbers and their room locations will be posted on the landing tomorrow by lunchtime, so the kids can see it. All right. If you have students who are insistent that either they are not on the list or they should not be on the list, you've got to send them to me. Please send them to me before Monday morning. You know what it's like on Monday morning. We just don't have time to look up every single kid, and 99% of the time, I swear, their ID number is on that stinking wall, okay? So, it frustrates me to no end, but it happens every single time. So if you help me this week, it'll make Monday and Wednesday, I'm a little scared about Wednesday, it'll go so much more smoothly. All right. Make sure you place your sign on your door for relocation. You can probably just do that on Friday so that they don't go to the relocation room on Friday. You can probably hang it up in the afternoon on Friday. On testing days, I'll be here pretty early. I might as well just sleep here. It's probably easier. So just wake me up when you get here, okay? Pick up your buckets from the testing room. Don't leave them unattended. You're going to prepare by 7:15, kind of have everything laid out. Make sure you're early. Can't use that stupid lane closure as an excuse, like the kids do. All right? Make sure you have your attendance sheet ready. As the students come in, don't wait until all 30 are there. Collect cell phones, put backpacks away, all that good stuff. They cannot go to their backpacks once the test has started. Even if you go to a break, right? They have to have their money and their ID on them before the test starts. That is critical. Lunches as well. You can't even go in their bags because you're going to have 30 kids. Hey, can you go get this out of my bag? And who knows what in the world is in there. All right?
So they're finished, they read.
Yes, that book has to be out of their backpack before the test starts if they choose to read. Okay? Distribute pencils, highlighters, scratch paper, and graph paper. No, just kidding. Not this time. Must be offered before the test directions are read. Once you read the directions, you may not offer any of those things to any of the students unless they ask you first. So if it's during the test, and you haven't given out a highlighter to that student and they ask, of course you can give it to them. But during the test, you can't say, hey, by the way, we got some highlighters over here, okay? So be aware of that. Distribute the answer documents. They should not be bubbling anything except for their answers, even if their information is incorrect, all right? If any of that stuff happens, leave me a sticky note, or leave me a note so that I know to try to fix it later, all right? Attendance instructions. You're going to have 2 white attendance sheets. One is going to be kind of your preliminary attendance to take. Post on your door by 7:50. We will go and collect those. And then probably, a half an hour, 45 minutes later, once we have nailed down all the kids who are in classrooms where they shouldn't be or they're actually absent, we're going to have you take attendance again a second time to confirm, because I think it got a little confusing last time, all right, on which one was the official roster. And that will come as a yellow sheet distributed by the hall monitors. Mark an A only if the student is absent. Don't mark anything else because it's just impossible to read. Don't do any of your special coding or characters or letters to say whether or not they're here or absent. That is also extremely confusing. All right, if at 7:45 everyone's there, get going. We want those kids in there and testing and ready to go. If at 7:50 you can begin reading directions. Late arrivals will have the directions read to them in a separate classroom, and then we will filter those students into your rooms as they come in. All right, test mode. You're going to finalize your attendance, hang the do not disturb sign, mention that your dictionaries and thesauruses are available. You're going to read the bold say directions in your manual. Make sure they receive the correct test booklet with their name and ID on the label, as well as their Scantron. Write the start time in the seating chart, write the start and end time on the board. Write the remaining time on the board and announce the following points. 5 hours and all the way down. I'm not going to read that to you. You're going to actively monitor. Your cell phone should be turned on silent and put away. Computer should be off. There's a couple of phrases that you can use from the manual if students have any questions or you need to remind them. Wave down a hall monitor for assistance if you need it. And then call me in the testing room if you need immediate help. Leah talked about the restroom procedure. I don't want to touch that pass, so make sure they don't take it on the can with them. Let's see. Make sure you're sending only one student at a time, and then avoid sending students to the restroom during the passing period, because that's when everybody else in the school is going to be there. So if they can hold it, have them hold it. All right. Completing the test. This is critical, especially on Wednesday. So if you can imagine, we've got 900 Scantrons. I have to check whether or not those score codes are bubbled, their form codes are bubbled in, and all that stuff. If you can just be diligent about checking and taking the time to do that before you bring the bucket to me, it is going to make our lives so much easier. So we get 30 testing rooms with 30 kids each. It is an absolute nightmare trying to fix 30 mistakes because a teacher has forgotten to bubble something in or put it in the wrong order or whatever it may be. All right, so you're going to check to see that the test booklet number, and if you want to look on with me on this sample document, so up at the top, you're going to make sure that the student has written the test booklet number. And then this is new for the spring. We didn't have this for the fall because it's all one form. Make sure that the form number is written and then also bubbled. You're going to bubble the score code S only if a student was there and took the test. If a student was absent, please leave it alone. Don't mark A, okay? Or O. You can only bubble S. Write and bubble the test date. It's going to be the 2-digit day, not the month. Oh my, can I just emphasize that maybe one more time? It's the 2-digit day, okay? It's awful when it comes back wrong, all right? So, organize the bucket in the following way. At the top should be pretty much all the crap goes at the top, okay? Scratch paper, testing signs in order, okay? Help me out there from top to bottom. Then the restroom log, the seating chart, the white attendance sheet, your extra attendance sheet, and then your answer documents in alphabetical order A to Z. Can't believe I had to specify that, but I guess I did. All right, from top to bottom. In the gallon bag, return those bags. Leia was on a witch hunt for those things the other day. We ran out of them. All right, testing booklets in numerical order, low to high, from top to bottom. Transition between periods. This is really for the makeup days. Just make sure that you remain in your testing room until the test administrator arrives. Make sure you don't designate a student as your temporary test administrator during the transition. All right. All right. Buddy up with your neighbor to make sure that the students who are arriving at your classroom are supervised, and then your relief. Try to wrap up your class a few minutes early so you can beat your testing assignment on time. All right, I've highlighted some important test manual pages. Does everyone understand? Last time I didn't provide you a copy with this answer document, but for 900 tests, it's important. Take that extra time to help me out and lay it out. There's long, long days. And I understand, it is very easy to miss a bubble here and there. Like, I check it, Leia checks it, and I think probably Amy Robinson is going to check it too. And it's gone through 3 people. I'll get to the warehouse to turn my stuff in, and there's going to be something that's not bubbled. If we don't bubble that score code, the kid would have sat through that whole test for 5 hours, completed it, and it goes to TEA or Pearson, and that test does not get scored because we forgot a score code.
And
So just
every
be
bubble
diligent.
that is incorrect, that TEA has to research, is $100.
Yep.
So, let's not do that.
Are there any questions about procedures? I think I thought of practically everything from a test administrator's standpoint. I like the list of what to do at every step, and I check it off as I go. Yes, sir.
Is it our job to bubble in the S?
Yes. Yes. You must bubble the S code, but leave it blank if the kid wasn't there. Yep.
If a kid was absent, and I know we don't bubble it, do you want their test booklet and their Scantron separate, or
No.
numericals like everything else, we all
Put
have to dig
it
out?
all together. Don't keep absent kids separated, because we need to account for everything first, and then
It's
we
faster.
pull them out. So keep it all together. Thank you for asking that.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else? All right, shoot me an email if you have any questions. You have my extension as well. Email is probably the best thing.
Drop your oath in the bin on the table.
And don't let the kids sleep. You got it. Thank you, guys.